Political parties and politicians contesting elections make various promises to gain the votes of the electorate. Sorry, I'm hearing feedback. More often than not, unfortunately, these promises are not met, discouraging the electorate. Apologies for the technical issue. This could lead to the decrease in the public's confidence and trust, as well as in their engagement and participation in the electoral process, therefore adversely affecting electoral democracy. There are, however, efforts from election observers to conduct parliamentary monitoring as part of their holistic approach to strengthen electoral democracy by evaluating the performance of elected officials and holding them accountable for the promises they made during elections and ensuring that public funds are utilized towards the best interest of the people. Including but not limited to similar efforts are the monitoring of ANFREL members like the Committee for Free and Fair Elections or COMFREL in Cambodia and Free and Fair Elections Network or FAFEN in Pakistan. Just last month, the Legal Network for Truthful Elections or LENTE in the Philippines signed a Memorandum of Agreement on parliamentary monitoring with the Citizen Congress Watch or CCW in Taiwan as LENTE prepares to conduct a systematic parliamentary monitoring in the Philippines. Parliamentary monitoring not only holds politicians accountable, but also empowers citizens by providing them with critical information about representatives' legislative work, policy decisions, and overall governance. These efforts help bridge the gap between elections, ensuring that democracy is not just about casting votes, but also about continuous public engagement and oversight. These monitoring efforts also help in informing the electorate to make better and informed choices during elections, especially in assessing the competence and integrity of political parties and candidates contesting the succeeding elections. In this episode of the Election Observer, we'll discuss empowering citizens in holding elected officials accountable through parliamentary monitoring. In this episode, I'm your host, John Antiquera, and we are live via ANFO's Facebook and LinkedIn pages as well as via ANFO's YouTube channel. Joining us in this episode are James Kan, the Vice President of the Citizen Congress Watch or CCW in Taiwan. Later in this episode, we'll also be joined by Rohana Hetiarachi, the Executive Director of the People's Action for Free and Fair Elections or PAFREL in Sri Lanka. Good afternoon, James. Welcome to the show.
Hi, John. Hello, everyone. Good to see you guys.
So thank you for joining us. No, I know I have already provided like a broad description of the importance of parliamentary monitoring in my introduction, but we'd of course like to hear from you on why you think it is necessary to monitor the parliament and to monitor specifically the elected officials in parliament.
Okay, so just a quick discussion about this. Before the elections or during the election campaigns, every candidates are promised for everything. They promise to give you more healthy care, children welfare, even the local infrastructure, just everything, whatever you wish. The candidate will say, of course, yes, I will do this. After, just send me to the Congress, and then I will do the rest. But we all know the story that just after they elected, they become the MPs, and then they ignore what they promised, or they are not so humble anymore. Until when? Until the next campaign. So actually, this kind of the behaviors, like the voters or the citizens are low confidence to our politicians. So that's why we think not only monitor the elections, actually after the elections, the real democracy just started, because you need your MPs who you elected are accountable.
Yes. Okay. I know CCW conducts parliamentary monitoring in Taiwan, no? And you have a rich information and data on your parliamentarians. Can you walk us through conduct your monitoring efforts? Like what areas of the parliament do you look into, and What methods do you use to monitor parliamentary activities?
Okay, thank you. So, John, can I directly introduce CCW
Yeah.
for the audience? So, actually, CCW, you can see our name is Citizen Congress Watch. So, we established, started from just monitoring the Congress or the Parliament in Taiwan. We call Legislative Yuan, which is LY. So, I think one crucial thing is because the all the politicians, of course, for those who in the parliament is elected. So, what's their goal for their first time or the first day they become the candidates or the politicians is to win the election, right?
Mm,
And after they become the parliamentaries, what they're thinking also how to get re-elections. So it's their goal, just keep winning the elections, no matter good or bad, because the good way is they can do their policy until they finish, or they need to get some under table benefits,
mm,
keep ticket. For Taiwan, because there's no limited for the MPs to run the elections, so
mm.
they can run forever. It's like a career job. You can
So
do this for a
there's no
lifelong.
limit for them, no? Okay.
Yes. So in 2007, Citizen Congress Watch, our founding father and mothers, they discovered one very weird thing is there's no MPs are deliberate in the parliament.
Mm,
Why? Because all the MPs they spend their time in their constituency
mm,
to serving the voters
mm.
because that is their vote come, right?
Yes.
So serving the voters is more important than do the deliberation things in the parliament. So we just see that all of the okay, I cannot say all of half of the MPs they're doing their job in the constituency, not
Mm,
in the parliament. So that's time we started to think our founding father and mothers we should establish organizations focusing on monitoring the parliament. So that's why we started, and then we started at 2007, and we started organizing. We registered for an NGO at 2008. So
mm,
it's more than 17 years already. So how are we monitoring them? Especially we're monitoring the MPs, what they have done, what's their works in the parliament. So because most of the founding fathers and mothers, they are the professor from the university. So they're
mm,
thinking maybe we can evaluate them, give them score,
mm.
right?
Yeah.
So that's starting to design the metrics, the indicators,
Mm,
how to evaluate one MPs, their performance for basic like their attendance rate, their interpretation rate, their deliberation rate, how
mm,
many meeting they join, how many proposal about the budget or the national budget or the amendment of about the bills. So just this is quantitative part. So as the beginning, we'll only have 10 or less than 20 indicators. But
mm.
after decades, right now we have more than 50 indicators to measure one MPs.
Uh-huh.
So it's more complicated right now.
Yes. So, is it like an annual review of your parliamentarians?
Hmm. So it's according our sessions. Our session is 6 months. Actually, it's 4 months. So 4 months we have one sessions.
Uh-huh.
So we will have a evaluation every sessions. So for CCW, we will have a evaluation results every 6 months to calculate their performance for that 4 months for that sessions, and then we will prepare a press conference and tell the Taiwan's citizens, of course, all the media, we're trying to report what's their score, what's their performance, and then we categorize them for three parts.
Mm,
One is outstanding, they
mm,
do a very good job in the parliament.
mm,
Number two is just normal. We didn't give them just the normal legislator.
mm,
And the third part is those who, you know, doing not good, they spend more
Uh-huh.
time on the regions, not in the parliaments.
Mhm.
But we won't say they are bad. We just say they're still them still to be observed. So maybe
Uh,
next time they will
uh-huh.
be better. So still be observed. It's not that means they are bad at this
Uh-huh.
session. So just we are still watching them. They're in the watching list.
Uh-huh. So I'm also curious about it because um, people know about your ratings. Of course, you publish reports about it. What has been the reception from the public, and also how have parliamentarians themselves who are being monitored reacted to your monitoring efforts?
Okay. uh, why CCW become so national while no just everybody knows CCW is that at the first beginning we have the evaluations. So of course we have the outstanding legislator. They are so happy and they are so supporting us to do the evaluate. But we have 20 something categories is still to be observed.
Mm,
So I remember, sorry, that during that time I'm not in CCW yet, but
mm,
during that time the professor during that years that tell me the story is that those still to be observed, two of them sued CCW because they say you undermine our reputations or something like this.
mm,
Just said, why? Who are you? Who you can judge me like this?
mm,
I only judge. I represent my constituency. Why an NGO can score me like
mm,
this or
yeah,
undermine my work? I spend a lot of time in the constituency. That you didn't see that, so they
mm,
sued us. And then the prosecutor come to the CCW office and asking us, "Where's your data from? Why you judging them like this?"
mm,
And we just said, we just calculate all the data directly from the website from the parliaments, and all the evidence is the legislative yuan's the official documents.
mm,
So they just review all the documents and then, okay, you're cool. So nothing happens.
mm,
So we, because it's an issue, we go to the headline for the different newspapers,
mm, mm,
CCWQs, and there's nothing happens because they use the data directly from the LY. So the media already explained for the Taiwan citizens that time. So after that, the there's no another charging for us, but of course they're just trying to undermine our works. But those who been elected at evaluate like the outstanding legislature, they really support us. They give
mm,
them more they're more enthusiastic parliament work,
mm,
questioning, deliberation, because they know there is an organization outside will give them support or
mm,
endorsements. And there's a very crucial part is when the next election is coming,
mm.
those outstanding legislator will use our evaluation running the campaign. They
Ah,
will say, "Hey, you don't know me, but you don't know what I have done in the parliament. But there is an organization, CCW,
ah,
their monetary organization. They give me the outstanding legislator, and they
yes.
will like a certificate. So during the campaign, they will have a banners or the flag everywhere with the small words
Mm,
outstanding legislator from CCW. So
mm,
it's like a reputation. It's good for them to run the elections. And those who keep in the watching list still to be observed, right?
mm,
We don't say anything. We don't have to say anything.
yes.
Their opponent will challenge them.
Ah,
If you don't want to do the work in parliament, then I will do it. If you don't want to do, let me. People,
mm,
please vote for me because that one don't work in the parliament. He spent the time in the district. He didn't do anything in the parliament. That should not be the LY. That is not the necessary job for the MPs. So vote for me. So we just like a platform. We give all the data, and next campaigns, the people, candidates, and media, they will directly use our data to propaganda by themselves, no matter
Mhm.
it's the advantage or
Mhm.
for disadvantage.
Mhm. I have a follow-up question to that because you've mentioned that um, either the politicians who've graded well or the opponents of those who did not do so well in the evaluation use your reports, no, in their campaigning. I'm assuming, I hope not, but you've probably had also reactions from the public about impartiality and independence of the work that you do. How do you ensure that you are impartial? And how do you tell the people that, well, this is an independent evaluation of the members of the parliament. We're not involved in any way in the promotion of a particular candidate. So how do you ensure and tell the public that this is an independent work, that we're not involved in any political, uh, we're not affiliated with any politicians or political parties?
Mm. Um, I just mentioned that most of the data is directly from the official documents.
Mm-hmm.
So actually, we use the data directly from the government.
Yes.
So we didn't. So actually, we didn't facing that problem because party they have different candidates, but in the outstanding legislator, both party have in that list, and
Mm-hmm.
both party have the candidates was in the watching list.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not only certain party in outstanding or in the still to be observed. So that's maybe the first easier to understanding that we're not by party or we have some influence by the certain party. But of course, we have some not friendly parties that times is easily to understanding. The majority in the parliaments they are not willing about this evaluation
Mm-hmm.
because works must be more easier for the minority in the parliament, right? Because they are not the ruling party, so they can ask him the question very crucial. So
Mm-hmm.
of course, during that times, some party are more easily to get a grade from CCW, but no matter what's their results, we just tell the citizens or the media where this score come from. We
Mm-hmm.
upload every indicators, every numbers, every score, how they get it, and where it's come from. So if you think we have some problems, then you can calculate again.
Ah.
if if you have any problem with that,
Mm-hmm.
you think our evaluation metric has some problem,
Mm-hmm.
no problems. We just give you the official documents. You
Yes.
can design another, major methods to do the things like us. We're happy to that because more PMO come out. It's a good way, right? More people are monitoring the parliament.
Mhm. You've also mentioned that part of your methodology is that the evaluation is really based on publicly available documents. No, so I would assume that access to information, public records, is of course vital in the work that you do. Have I'm curious to know, have you had issues in terms of accessing certain information uh, in your evaluation because these are not publicly available? Have you had any of those issues?
Mm. Okay, that's a very good question. So, of course, all the monitoring is basic. One condition is
Mhm.
transparency.
Yes.
If the parliaments is not that transparency, so we cannot monitoring them.
Yes.
So during that times that Taiwan's parliaments, we have official documents, but the problem is it's not that in time. So maybe you need to wait another 3 months or 6 months to get the official documents. But we are not just give the evaluation every day, every week.
Mm,
So our evaluation 6 months later, so we
mm,
can wait until the official documents come out. So that is not a big issue for us. But yes, people are care about more detail about the bill budget deliberations, and that's why at the beginning we only have 10 less than 20 metrics but after decades, there are more information are traceable, can be found in the website, so that us can keep upgrade our evaluation metrics.
Okay. I can see in my um, live streaming app that our guest is also here now. So let me introduce again one of our guests for today's discussion is Rohana Hetirashi, the Executive Director of the People's Action for Free and Fair Elections, or PAFREL, from Sri Lanka. Hi, Rohana. Good afternoon. Um, Hello, Rohana. Can you hear us now?
Yes, yes, can hear. You can hear me, right?
Yes, we can hear you. It's nice that you're finally sorted out the technical difficulties. No, again, welcome to the show. Just apologies to James. I would have to go back to some of the questions that I've already asked James to also ask you, Rohana.
That's
Um,
okay. That's okay. Please continue, John.
Yes, no. I asked James earlier, no, because I've given a short introduction about the value of parliamentary monitoring. So I wanted to know from you as well, no, why do you think it's necessary to monitor the parliament, specifically those who we elect in parliament?
You mean not the election, right? But the parliament, right?
Yes.
Okay, that's a great question. Anyway, thank you, John, for inviting me to share the Sri Lankan experience uh, with our regional colleagues. Parliamentary monitoring, of course, really important because almost all the countries, the parliament is most high level institutions, the representations on the public, the citizens, and the parliament is the one who really take decisions on behalf of the citizens. So mostly the policy decisions are based on the parliamentarians' decisions, and
Mhm.
also parliamentarians are the lawmakers, whatever the country,
Yes.
even in Sri Lanka. And they are the people who really control the finance of the country as well. So, as the citizens, once we select our representative, so that is the duty of the public, or
Mhm.
at least duty of the civil society organizations who
Yes.
are organized citizens in the country to monitor the parliament, to look at whether they deliver their job properly. Because elections observations, even the elections, is just one tool.
Mhm.
But the most important part is whether our elected representative are doing their job properly.
Mhm.
So parliamentary monitoring in that angle is really, really important. But we have, I mean, the different countries are using the different tools. For example, now Sri Lanka, we are go beyond the parliamentary monitoring. Actually, we are monitoring. We already started monitoring the manifesto, which has
Mhm.
given by the ruling party. The last
Mhm.
presidential elections followed with the parliamentary elections also, they have given a promise document. That is a social contract between the politicians and the public, or politicians and the citizens.
Mhm.
So now we have established a mechanism in consultation with the party leaders, in consultation with the parliamentarians and the relevant ministers. We are prepared to monitor the manifesto, and we use the KPI mechanism
Mhm.
to monitor the whole promises list during, I mean, hopefully within next 4 years period. That is our plan.
Mhm. James here, our colleague from CCW in Taiwan, also has shared how they are monitoring the parliament. Can you also help us, help our viewers understand as well what work is being done in Sri Lanka for your context in terms of
Well,
monitoring?
Yeah, we don't have a up to now. Actually, we that's why we just starting this manifesto monitoring. We don't have a such experience here in Sri Lanka monitoring the whole parliamentary process. But one of our sister organizations, the brother organizations called Verite Research and Mantri.lk, they are looking at parliamentarians' performance at the parliamentary speeches, and also we are looking at their attendance, because in Sri Lankan contests we learn we do have a 225 parliamentarians,
Yes.
but there are so many occasions because of the quorum we have to stop parliamentary sessions. Speaker has to stop number of occasions, and he has to ring the bell due to absence of the parliamentarians. It's just 20 members out of 225. So one of the area where Verite and MP, this parliamentary.lk group is doing, whether parliamentarians are coming to parliament to do their job. So that just make sure their attendance for the entire year. And also we are looking at whether they speak out in the parliament. We have identified in the past, there are some parliamentarians for the entire period, they have speak out only 3-4 occasions. But there are different issues also. The parliamentarians, even though if they're willing to talk, it has to schedule, or it has to, the party leadership has to give that time slot for the parliamentarian also. But if you are really serious about your representations, you can bring the private member bill. You can bring the proposals to parliament, even if you are not getting chance to talk inside the parliament by your own party leadership. So there are many ways where parliamentarians can voice out the public issues, their representative, their people's issue. But unfortunately, Sri Lanka, we have experienced their attendance are very low. They are talking in the parliament also very low, and sometimes they are talking rubbish. They're talking rubbish. There is no mechanism for us to evaluate their talk, but at least we are evaluating their time slot. How many times they have speak out. That is not the quality. We can't measure the quality of talk, but at least whether they talk. So those basic things which we have observed so far in the parliament. But it is really interesting. Some parliamentarians are very keen. What is their positions in this observation? Because we are ranking from 1 to 10, who are the top highest parliamentarians who speak out in the parliament, who has brought up the private member bill during their parliamentary period. So those are quite interesting here, that some members of parliament, they wanted to say public, look, under this research, I'm so and so, my number is number 1, my number is I'm in within plus 10, is something like that. So they also has given an interest on that. But we are looking at to broaden that. We are serious to look at the quality representations.
Yes.
Beyond the numbers. So that is what we plan at the moment, and we are planning to almost in the process to monitor the manifesto in consultation with the ruling party at the moment.
Okay. Before, because I also asked James about the reception of the public to their monitoring, but before I go to that, I'm also curious about the transparency of the parliament itself, because James has mentioned that part of their methodology is to base their evaluation on publicly available records. No? I'm curious if parliaments in Sri Lanka, how transparent they are in terms of attendance, because you said you check the attendance, you check how many times a parliamentarian has spoken in parliament. So what are the publicly available documents wherein you can use to evaluate the parliamentarians in Sri Lanka? And what is the state of public disclosure and access to information in the country?
Yes, I'm happy to share that Sri Lanka do have this right to information space.
Mm.
So every citizen has right to ask these questions from the parliament, from
Mhm.
the parliament secretariat. Now, we have been asking some of these information last several years. As a result, now parliamentary staff or parliament secretariat has already prepared certain informations
Mhm.
about parliamentarians in advance, because they know that the regular questions, they have understand what kind of regular questions they are getting from the public.
Mhm.
Now, under the parliamentary website, so you can get some sort of informations on that. And also we have established tracking system as PAFROL. So a lot of legal framework which they have brought up.
Mhm.
Some legal framework, they went up to the parliament first reading, but after that nothing has happened. Some legal framework, it went up to the cabinet or attorney's department, but nothing has happened. So
Mhm.
we have actually newly introduced the tracking system, but that's a part of the civil society also. So we are serious about those legal framework, and we put it into that tracker. So the
Mhm.
parliament website also little open now, and their staff also are very serious because they have a public outreach unit. So they are very active and they are very willing to share the information.
Mhm.
Not only that, the Sri Lankan Parliament, I'm sure the James also may have a same experience. Now there are a lot of public committees which we can participate
Mhm.
with the parliamentarians. There are so many sectorial committees which has established within the legal framework of Sri Lankan law, that civil society can engage with that. So I think open government partnership also, that also part of this. I mean, quite seriously taken by the Parliament Secretary General. So I'm happy to say that Sri Lankan Parliament Secretariat, including the politicians, compare with the 10-15 years back, now
Mhm.
they are quite open to public. They are willing to listen to the public and the civil
Mhm.
society. They have opened the gate. They have opened the windows for
Yeah.
us to get engaged. I'm not saying uh, we have perfect and 100% transparent everything. It's not like that.
Mhm.
But certainly there are windows where we can get engaged, where we can get the informations through the online mechanism.
That's good to know. Just going back to my next question. In terms of the reception of both the public and the parliamentarians that are being monitored, because you've mentioned earlier about ranking parliamentarians. What has been like the reaction for them? Because in as James has shared earlier, because they've been doing parliamentary monitoring work for quite some time now. Um, some of the politicians use their evaluation for their campaigning because like oh we graded well, we were evaluated well based on our performance, based on this independent monitoring, no? So how has been the reception in terms of for the public and as well as those being monitored in Sri Lanka?
Sorry, I didn't get your questions properly.
um, how has the parliamentarians, the members of parliamentarians who are being monitored, reacted to being evaluated of their performance, and how has the public themselves, those who get the information about these evaluation, reacted to such efforts?
I think so far it's very positive. So far it's very positive. Parliamentarians also, because basically people are happy to criticize.
Mm-hmm.
Every citizens are happy to criticize the others, especially the politicians. But
Mm-hmm.
there is no system to evaluate them and appreciate them.
Mm-hmm.
So in this mechanism, we are looking at in a very positive way. Even the politicians are looking at in a positive way. This is the opportunity for us to evaluate them.
Mm-hmm.
And for them also, this is the opportunity for them to mark themselves through this monitoring mechanism and their level. And it's kind of appreciation for the parliamentarians. So apart from this monitoring, under the March 12 movement, March 12 movement for clean politics, that is, we established for system change. Now we have a parliamentary group around 36 MPs, which they have signed to be a clean man in their political career. They have signed the code of conduct. 36 young MPs. They are very keen on their duties. They are very keen on their responsibilities. They are very keen on transparency of their activities. Actually, we have engaged with, as March 12 movement, we have engaged with Parliament in a big way. And we, for example, 3-4 years back, we have signed a MOU with a couple of universities to get support for the parliamentarians. Whenever, for example, let's say, one of these debates, if they wanted to get some knowledge on economics or environment or any other issues, so there are some university academics are ready to support them. So we established a mechanism system in some universities. University lecturers are voluntarily agreed to give their knowledge, share their experience. So we had done a MOU with the university and the parliamentary MP collective groups. Whenever they want, voluntarily, they was able to get those informations. So that is one thing. And on the other thing which we done, there were some critical issues which we faced in the past. So we have identified some experts from the different sectors, not necessarily from the academic sectors, but we invite them into parliament. And this parliamentary MP collective groups, MP collective for clean politics, that team has organized a meeting inside the parliamentary rooms and invite all the parliamentarians, ruling and oppositions, and we brought that expertise knowledge into parliamentarians inside the parliament. So there were many ways where we engage with the MPs and give them a knowledge and give them experience, and we have listened to them also, and we heard their practical problems. In Sri Lankan context, every parliamentarian has assigned one research assistant for them. But we realized that they have not used it properly for those assistants. Actually, they do the politics on behalf of the MP. And we do have a good research unit in the parliament. But very rarely these people use this research unit for public speech or for their knowledge. So we as a civil society, or we as a March 12 movement, as a civil society collective, we have identified those gaps. And now we are trying to minimize those gaps between the parliamentarians and the other institutions. And also we wanted to be a bridge among the citizens and the parliamentarians. So now we are thinking to establish an online platform for people to come up with their problems. And the politicians, the parliamentarians, so they can easily get access this online system. That's actually, it's just idea at the moment. So online platform for citizens to share their views, their proposals, or maybe their issues, problems, and direct to their parliamentarians, direct to their policymakers. So it will be a good combination, so good tool to utilize the both parties' knowledge, resources, experience to resolve the problem.
That's actually very much connected to my next question, which is for those watching right now, no, particularly ordinary citizens who every election exercise their right to vote. How do you think they can take part in monitoring their elected representatives? James, of course, we'll invite you, or you're invited back to the discussion. I know you shared with me a resource as well. So, yeah, how can ordinary citizens also conduct their own evaluation of their elected representatives.
You referring to me or John?
To you and to
Okay.
James. Yes.
Okay. I mean, if I answer shortly, under the March 12, actually, I have prepared a little formal presentations on March 12 movement, but I'm happy to. That's okay. I'm happy to answer your questions also. I will give me 2 minutes.
Sure.
So we have done this March 12 criteria for nominations. It was actually today is our 10th anniversary.
Ah.
March 12 movement started in 2015 March 12. It's a big declaration. The entire political party, the hierarchy, the leadership agreed and signed the nomination criteria. It was in 2015 March 12th. So every party agreed those criteria, nomination criteria. So your question is how whether people can get engaged on their selections.
Yes.
So after this nomination criteria, we have introduced scorecard for voters to assess their candidate before you mark your ballot. Actually, we have given some sort of criteria for voters to assess the candidate based on the level of the elections. Parliamentary election is a higher level, it's a policy level. But the principal idea behind this, you as a voter, you can get a just paper and you can write down the name of the candidate, whatever the elections, in your locality. It is a parliamentary elections, it goes as a district level. So whatever the party, I mean, you have two options. First, you have to select your party, or without considering party, you can list out the name of the candidate and you can put up your criteria over here. And the qualities, it can be qualities, it can be measurable things. For example, if you wanted to have a young graduate as your representative, you can put the criteria over here, name and the criteria. And before you mark your ballot, before you go to your polling stations, you can give them a marks. Whether, I mean, if you're serious about the age, you can see what is their age. If you're serious about the education, you can look at the education. If you're serious about the corruptions, you can see, but you have to have some sort of knowledge on that. And if you are serious about experience, you can look at that experience. So the concept is to assess your candidate before you mark your ballot. So we have in the initial stage, John, we have printed around 5 million scorecard and distribute among the citizens and ask them to follow the criteria. I mean, they can follow our criteria or they can build their own criteria. Nobody will say, I wanted to have a corrupted person. Nobody will say, I wanted to have a uneducated person as my representative. So everybody will come with some positive criteria. So that will make a big change among the citizens, because up to that there was no mechanism to take informed decisions by the citizens. But under this innovative idea, when we shared this with the public, they were very keen to use that criteria. So the last several elections, I'm not saying again this is perfect and 100% everyone has followed, but largely we change the people's mindset and we managed to push them to take informed decisions based on that.
I was actually trying to share the screen of the scorecard because Briza also shared it with me, but it's not working. But probably we'll share it later through our social media pages. But thank you for that, Rahana. No, how about you, James?
Okay, so the question is how we that citizen can join our evaluation, right? Because we are more focusing on the parliament monitoring, so during the election campaign, as Rohana just mentioned, Of course, we have the website. It's a platform, so every performance is on that website. So people can directly go to their website, see what's their MPs from the district, the performance for the rest of 4 years in their term. Uh, Another thing is when we are evaluate the performance during the parliaments, their behaviors or performance, the rate like attendance rate, interpretation rate, all the rates are quantitative. So it's a data. But when we are going to evaluate how their performance, you need to get the task is how to do the qualitative evaluate, because each people have their own ideology. For example, supporting nuclear or not supporting nuclear, supporting for the death penalty and not supporting for the death penalty. So it's an ideology issue. So for CCW, we're hardly to represent any kind of the ideology to give them score. So we found out it's another way is we invite the citizens to join our evaluations. How? We already designed a website. So it's that invite the citizen become the evaluator. They can evaluate what? Evaluate the MPs when their oral interpretations. That means they're asking the question to the government. So there's a video in, I need to mention, it's not in a plenary meeting. It's all in the standing committee because the discussion were more professional and more detailed. So can I show my screen? Maybe I try to that everybody can see that.
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay. Can you see the screen?
Show it on the screen. Yeah.
Okay. So this is the website. It's called ivod.ccw.org.tw. Sorry, it's in Mandarin. You can use the Google Translate for the English. So if you're the first time, you don't have registers, you can ask a guest trying to use this website. So you can choose. We have 130 MPs. You can choose which MPs you want to evaluate, and then you click them, and they will choose the topic you want to listen, you want to evaluate, and then that will directly link to our parliamentary systems for that video. And after you watching the video, then you can give them score. And so every sessions we have more than 1,000 citizens are joining us to do the evaluations. And after the evaluations, all the score, all the evaluate results, we will send back to the parliamentaries, and that the MPC was the feedback from their voters or from other voters thinking about their interpretations.
Okay, thank you for that.
Thank you, James. I think, John, we are behind that Taiwan. We are still evaluating the candidate. I don't know, John, whether you can remember the last parliamentary elections also. We had a mechanism called Know Your Future MP, something like that. We gathered some informations and we put into some sort of system where before the elections, people can analyze with that data and select the best persons. But still, we are in the selection process, but we don't have a proper mechanism to monitor performance of the elected representative. That is where we are heading now. I think Taiwan experience will be helpful for us to make a proper mechanism. Actually, technologically, we need to learn from you how we can use the technology to evaluate our existing MPs. But it's big challenge because when you open for the public, if you are not responsible, so people can manipulate it. So end of the day, responsibility will come to us. So that is the big challenge for us here in Sri Lanka also. But
Mhm.
we are happy to learn much more from you. Maybe the separate discussions, I think John can organize for us to learn your experience in a deeper manner.
No, I think as a good news, no, Rohana, I think CCW is also organizing a network of organizations that are monitoring Parliament. So I think CCW can speak about it. James know more about the information about it to share
Yes.
really information about how effectively parliamentary monitoring can be done in your countries. But just for the information of everyone, no, James, can you share with us how you're working on it on the parliamentary monitoring organization that you're forming?
Yes, thank you, John. Thank you, Rohana. So actually, we also learned a lot from Sri Lanka, and I know you mentioned about Verite. So right now we are have a good communicate with Verite also. So right now, as I mentioned before, monitoring the big conditions is transparency in the parliament. So the parliament should have enough transparency. They have enough accessible data
Mhm.
so the outside NGO can do the monitoring or do the evaluations. So as the beginning, because different parliament have different systems, obviously they have presidential, they have the cabinet system. So in Asia, we're so multiple system in parliament situation. But what we want to do is that the parliament's first step is transparency.
Mhm.
So right now, what I'm doing is I'm connecting all the organizations who are interested about that your country's parliament more transparency, more accessible. So how we do that is we're trying to design a matrix. This metric is called a parliament transparent metrics. Of course, there's also have some metric in national or in the international, but from my knowledge, is those the evaluation is come from the parliament themselves. So they're easily to get higher score because they just self-checking them.
Mhm.
But from now, I'm going to do is we are going to hold a network. We invite the organization are interesting to do this. They become the they going to asking the question to the parliament or they directly survey by themselves so that we have more neutral results because the answer is from the CSO, it's not from the parliament. So right now we're still in design the metrics. Right
Mhm.
now we already networking with more than 10 countries. Please let me name that. From Mongolia, from Japan, from South Korea, Taiwan, Thailand, Malaysia, Indonesia, and of course Sri Lanka. And what I miss? Sorry, I have another one. Is sorry, I forgot it. I mentioned we have tents.
Did
Okay.
you mention the Philippines? Is it included?
Oh my gosh, John, I'm so sorry. There's an elephant. Yes, Philippines. I'm so sorry about that, Philippines. Yeah. So we already have 10 countries and we have 10 organizations already in this network. So right now we haven't officially announced to the international, but we're doing this ongoing things because we need to prepare. We started to design. We will have a meeting by every meeting online. So 10 organizations come together, design the metrics is that suit for your parliament. For example, some parliaments, their data are accessible,
Mhm.
but it's not timely. You need to wait 6 months. So that is not transparency. If they already have the data, so I can get it from 1 week and compare with 6 months. It's totally different level for transparency. So that's just one example. So
Mhm.
when we are designing this metric, it's a very big task because
Mhm.
we need to think about so much different country situation scenario. So we hope we can have this metrics, this design settle down on this year, and we started to survey on 2025, and then 2026, and then we will have a result. And all the organization, no matter you are the PMO or election monitoring organization, you can use this as a benchmark to persuade or to advocacy to your parliament to improve the transparency. Then you can think about how to monitor your parliament.
Parliament. That's good. No, um, I guess we're moving to our closing segments. If you've seen our previous episodes, we do something light and special. But for this one, we asked you. I have actually have some props here. I have some props here because we asked our guest speakers today to create, if we are to create a curriculum on how people can better understand the parliamentary work, to monitor and hold accountable their elected representatives, what would be the three building blocks needed for that curriculum? So, what are like the three key core knowledge that people should know about their parliament for them to be able to assess the performance of their parliamentarians? Who would like to go first? I'll write on the boxes. I actually have.
Okay, I can be the first because I discussion this with John before that meeting. So
Okay.
so first, obviously, you need to have a knowledge about the
Uh-huh.
parliament systems, how the bill being processed, first reading, second reading, third reading. This is a basic knowledge when you're starting to monitor the parliaments. You need to have, you need to know how the parliament systems are running. The second part is you need to know you have the civil right to monitoring the parliament, like you have the right to monitor the elections. So of course, because we are facing some judge who you represent, who you can judge us, who you can monitor in the parliaments. So you have the civil knowledge right. This is very crucial. And the third box I will mention about is the you need to design evaluations or a monitoring tool or techniques, because in CCW's experience, we're using the evaluation, but of course, it's not suited for any countries. So you can design any kind of monitoring, just like even just a platform to grab the data and let everybody know. That is a good monitoring experience. So this is three blocks from CCW.
Okay. How about you, Rohan? What would be your three blocks?
Well, I think I also go with CC. I think I do agree that the number one is we have to have a knowledge about parliamentary system, parliament procedures. That's number one, and number two is the tool, how we are going to do that. Only one additions from me. Uh, we have to have a committed team, and we have to have a passion to do that, because with all these knowledge tools and everything, if you don't have the proper team, because the will is really important, and the committed team and the passion, because it is not easy to deal with the elected representative.
Mm.
It is not easy to deal with the parliamentary secretariat, because they are little upper level. I mean, it seems like, I mean, they behave like in that way. So we should have a passion
Mm.
to deal with all these high level government officials as well as the elected representative.
Mm.
So it's based on that. It's based on that their commitment, and also strategically, you have to identify it. I'm little go beyond what John mentioned. I fully go with him, but strategically, we have to identify right persons to begin
Mm.
with, because basically they may not happy to look to monitor someone from outside.
Mm.
There are some people, let's say 100 parliamentarians, there can be at least 10 who is benefiting of our observations, monitoring. And out of 50 government officials,
Mm.
there may be 5 who is willing to support. So logistically, we have to identify the right people and also the right time.
Yes.
The timing also is really important when you are going to start, uh, because otherwise the politicians, bureaucrats may not support us, our objective.
Okay, thank you for that, James and Rohano. No, unfortunately, that is the end of our show. I would have to take you out of the stream to close the show, but thank you again for accepting our invitation for this afternoon. It has been a very interesting discussion. Yes, thank you, James. Thank you, Rohana.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
John. Thank you,
Thank you,
Rohana.
James. James, I wish to talk to you maybe later to get your expertise on parliamentary observation, right?
Okay, no
Yeah,
problems.
will do.
Okay,
Okay.
thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Okay, so yeah, we have our building blocks right here. Again, thank you to James and Rohana for accepting our invitation to guest in this episode this afternoon. And again, that has been the Election Observer episode on empowering citizens and holding elected officials accountable through parliamentary monitoring. Get the latest news and updates about ANFIL programs and activities through Facebook, X, LinkedIn, and TikTok pages. And you can also subscribe to our YouTube and WhatsApp channel. I hope there are people watching through our YouTube channel. Hello to everyone who are watching on our YouTube channel. Again, I'm your host, John Antiquera. Have a great day, everyone. Bye.